Assalamualaikum, good morning and ohayo to all my beloved teacher and to everyone. Before we begin, let me introduce myself first. The name given by my mother was Muhammad Danial Razaki. I would like to thank everyone for giving me an opportunity to deliver you all a speech about Factor Japan attack on Pearl Harbor. So, on December 7, 1941, this is the sacred date of the attack at dawn that shook the whole world. This attack was launched by the Japanese Empire on the United States of American naval base located at Pearl Harbor. The attack on Pearl Harbor was a surprise military strike by the Japanese Imperial Navy Air Service upon the United States against naval base at Pearl Harbor in Honolulu Territory, Hawaii. Just before 8 on Sunday morning, December 7, 1941. The attack led to the United States formal entry into World War II. At the moment, United States was a neutral country. Many historians or researchers are dissatisfied why the American naval base in Pearl Harbor fell victim to the fury of the beginning invasion by the Japanese Empire. They could just attack the California base, but they chose Pearl Harbor. Due to this reason, a study was conducted and found there are several reasons for this attack. There are three main factors why the Japanese attack against Pearl Harbor. It is need for new natural resource, restrictions, and expansion in the Pacific. Let's begin with the first factor, Japan attack on Pearl Harbor. Facing the problem of insufficient natural resources such as oil, rubber materials, and needed to help his Axis powers such as the Nazi. With following the ambition to become a major global power, the Japanese Empire began an aggressive expansion leading to Southeast Asia. But most of the countries in Southeast Asia are countries under the British Empire and the United States of America. For example, the country that are under British Empire that have wealth oil is in India, and Malaya that are wealth with rubber, which is also under the British Empire. While the America, their country is Philippines. Following the Allies agreement, America was obligated to help the British fight their enemy. Furthermore, with the Pearl Harbor as a stronghold of the Allies in Asia, this further strengthened the reason for Japan to attack the naval base at Pearl Harbor. Due to this, Japanese need to attack America's strong navy base at Pearl Harbor in order to invade Southeast Asia. If the attack was not carried out, it is certainly can be concluded that the Japanese will suffer a major defeat and their Axis power friend, that it is German, will also defeat because America will help British. We move to the second factor, Japan attack Pearl Harbor. After the Japan occupied French Indochina in July 1941, President United States of America Franklin D. Roosevelt, that has been chosen as a president for the fourth time at that time, responded by freezing Japanese assets in the United States and instituting a full restriction effectively cutting off all trade between the two countries in its most basic goals to cut all oil import to Japan. This restriction was devastatingly effective. Britain and the Netherlands soon joined the American restriction, and Japan altogether lost 3/4 of its overseas trade and almost 9% of its oil imports. Although it has enough oil in reserve to continue the war with China and Manchuria, its supply would run out within 18 months, at which point it will simply have no more fuel for its airplanes, tanks, warships, cargo, and it also cannot help to supply oil to his friend Axis, the German. Roosevelt hoped that in this way it will help Japan to negotiate. It will force Japan to negotiate with the Allied force and will withdraw their army from China. Due to this reason, Japan was forced to launch an attack against the Pearl Harbor against the United States in order to occupy more countries with oil wealth in Southeast Asia. We move to the last point: Japanese attack against Pearl Harbor. During the late 1930s, Roosevelt began providing unlimited support to the Chinese government that at that time has a war with the Japanese Empire itself. In 1941, he moved the Pacific Fleet from the mainland from the California base to the naval base at Pearl Harbor as a show of American naval power. He told his admiral, the Eisenhower, that have been guarded at the Pearl Harbor to be ready at any time. Roosevelt hoped that in this way Japan will not pursue its agenda to dominate the Southeast Asia and fighting the USSR. At that time, Russia was called or was known as USSR, United States Soldier Union. Roosevelt knew that Japan wanted to control the whole Southeast Asia. So in order to protect the Southeast Asia, Roosevelt need the American Navy to be ready at the Navy base Pearl Harbor. However, Roosevelt did not know that Japan was ready to begin an attack against American Navy that was in Pearl Harbor. This action by Roosevelt gave the Japanese Empire an opportunity to control Southeast Asia by crippling the Navy in Pearl Harbor. Due to this, Japan knew they needed to make a surprise attack on the American Navy base. And on December 7, 1941, a surprise attack was launched by the Empire of the Japanese. Finally, we have reached the conclusion of the factor Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Those are three reasons why the Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. Many people believe that the Japanese were successful in the attack. They took the life of more than 2,500 Americans and destroyed about 18 ships such as destroyer, warships, cruiser, but not the aircraft carrier. The Japan also destroyed about 300 airplanes, including bomber fighter. The result of the attack enabled Japan to expand their invasion to the Pacific. Destroying the base at Pearl Harbor would mean Japan controlled the Pacific. And based on study made by historians, society is able to see how greed of human being is capable of killing millions of innocent people. And according to the war veterans that live in Pearl Harbor at December 7, 1941. The attack was too terrible. Many people died. He was surrounded by the dead people. And that is from me. Thank you. I want to thank you again for giving me an opportunities again to deliver you a speech about what factor Japan attack against Pearl Harbor. Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamualaikum, and may you have a great day.